probably about to go off in a few minutes, maybe like 2 minutes. Maybe I'll turn it off now, actually. I know you guys can't hear me. Much better. Much better. How's everybody? I'm gonna wait till you guys get in the chat. I didn't really have anything to talk about today. I was doing a lot of cleaning, a whole bunch of cleaning in the house, and I figured, hey, why not get online? Hey, Gracie. Walaikum salam, Gracie. Peace be upon you as well and your beautiful family. I hope you had a good day. Mine was uneventful. And as I said before, uneventful is good. We like uneventful. We like when uneventful mean peaceful. Peace is all that we want as targeted individuals. Isn't that right? Hey, Lorna, how's it going? How are you? I've been watching your videos, Lorna. I'm very happy that you've been posting about what you go through, especially with the police. That was an interesting video you put where you were talking about the police. A lot of people are still fooled into believing that the police are our friends. Still alive, Lorna. Well, I'm glad you're still alive. I'm very happy to hear it. Yeah. You know, I was actually having this conversation with my wife yesterday. I was telling her how, a lot of people are fooled into believing that the police are our friends. Like, for example, people that are going through gang stalking, their first reflex often is to call the cops, and not understanding that, they're not your friends. They're not here to help you. I know that they say protect, like their job is to protect and serve, and they say that, they risk their lives every day for our safety. And on paper, it sounds very good. It sounds like they're the good guys. And they believe themselves to be the good guys, which is like a trait of villains. Villains think they're the good guy. I mean, that's why they justify everything that they do, is because they think, no, I know I've like hurt a bunch of people, but I'm the good guy, or I'm the victim, whatever it is, like the narrative that's playing in their mind that justifies their actions. But the truth is, if you were to be robbed, let's say someone broke into your home and robbed you, and you called the police. What are the chances, in your opinion? What are the chances that the police are going to solve the police are going to solve the crime? Bring your assailant to justice, or even make efforts towards that, rather than what it is that they usually do, which is come into your home, ask you a bunch of questions, fill out paperwork reluctantly, treat you as if you did something wrong, start asking you questions like, why would someone rob you? What are you into? Investigate you rather than the crime that occurred. What are the chances that they're going to actually bring justice, rather than make you feel like you're doing something wrong for calling them and wasting their time? What are the chances? Have you ever been broken into? Have you ever called the police because a crime was committed against you? Sanatoy Singh asked me, what are my thoughts on freedom of speech? I don't think there is freedom of speech. I think it's very obvious that there is not freedom of speech when you look at the situation with Nicholas Wagter. Nicholas something Wagter. I can't remember his name, but he's the guy that was arrested and 5150'd in British Columbia, Canada, Vancouver, for the people that are. I mean, I don't think he was in Vancouver, but let's just say Vancouver for the people that don't know what British Columbia is. he was arrested for free speech. Basically, he was ambushed by a psychiatrist and a bunch of other people with weapons and stuff like that, who I believe were probably police officers, for whistleblowing on corruption. And then, he walked away saying, I don't want to speak to you guys, blah, blah, blah. Then he came back to the coffee shop and started filming and realized that every single person that was there was in on it. They were all talking to each other. They had like, walkie talkies, not really walkie talkies. I mean, they were like, they had like stuff in their ears to communicate with each other, and they had weapons on them. I mean, like firearms. And that's when he realized, oh, these are police officers. I didn't just get ambushed by a psychiatrist. I got ambushed by, a psychiatrist and her employee. I got ambushed by the police. And then the next day he was arrested, or maybe a couple of days after, he was arrested while driving by the police, who immediately 5150'd him. And he's still in a mental institute at the moment, probably being drugged against his will for speaking up about corruption. So, freedom of speech. So much for that, huh? You know what I saw? I saw this guy. I think his Instagram is Valentine Videos or something like that. I don't know. The guy hates Trump with a passion, and he was talking about how the White House website now has and this is real, has a page where you can report dissidents of the state. Basically, give their names, their address, their handles on the internet, whether it be X, Instagram, whatever, YouTube. You give all their information, their address, their name, social security, whatever you can, and the White House will investigate them as domestic schmererist. And a lot of people are going to sign up folks on this, not understanding what it is that they're actually signing people up for, because they're not necessarily using the proper terms, and they're not being very forward about what this is about. But any targeted individual will tell you that you're basically adding people to the targeted individuals list. You're about to cause the destruction of people's lives. Meanwhile, you have this vendetta against someone, or you don't like someone, or someone said something you don't like, or you're thinking, oh, I just want this person to get in trouble, or whatever. You might even add someone to the list as a prank or something. Next thing you know, this person is now a target of organized harassment tactics by the government, organized by the government. And you added their names on the list 6 years ago, and you're not even thinking about it anymore. You're probably not even mad at this person anymore, or you have no feelings toward this person anymore, because it's been 6 years. 6 years down the line, this person is now divorced, lost custody to their children, lost their jobs, lost their home, lost their car. They don't know who's behind it. They don't know how it happened. All the while, it was you. You added their names on the list, unbeknownst to you, to be tortured by the state, by the federal government, rather. And they're not being very honest about what they're doing to these people, because once you're considered, you got to figure a lot of what these people are doing. They're very brazen about it because they feel everything is legal, because on paper it is, because on paper is everything you can prove. right? If any of us could prove that we're being gang stalked beyond a reasonable doubt or beyond a doubt at all, we would not be online talking about this endlessly. We would be in court getting that moolah, getting that guap. But all the tactics use all the tactics hold plausible deniability. So on paper, once you are labeled a schmererist, there's not a lot that can be done to you that is illegal. It's like, oh, I'm being surveillanced. Is it surveilled? I don't know. Surveillance. I'm gonna say surveillanced because surveilled sound too much like a survey. I'm being surveillanced illegally, or I'm being surveillanced unbeknownst to me on my electronics. Like, well, if you're a domestic schmererist, that's legal. Espionage is legal on domestic schmererists. You don't have rights. What are you talking about? You don't have rights. You're a domestic schmererist. You're on the list. So on paper, a lot of what they do is legal. Now, torture is illegal. Don't get me wrong. Torture is illegal on paper. Can you prove on paper that you're being tortured? And you go, look, they're sending microwaves. My body is burned. It's like, oh, well, how do you prove that this is, directed energy weapons? How do you prove that it's us? How do you prove any of that? That's funny. There are people in the chat having religious arguments. I encourage everyone to not respond to these people. What I was talking about FEMA camps and New World Order Online. Also was saying it, a relative, turns out they are seeds. Oh, okay. Sheesh. I fear nothing. The Bible says, do not be afraid 365 times. Speak freely and WTI. That's true. That's true. Most of us, well, most of the targeted individuals who get the worst of it, who really get hit hard, are whistleblowers. So that's my stance on freedom of speech. There is no freedom of speech. It's being American. Sorry, hold on. My wife is funny. Being American, North American, because in North America, in most of North America, you have freedom of speech. You can legally say anything. The truth is Canada doesn't have freedom of speech. There is no freedom of speech right in Canada. None. There is in America and the USA. There isn't in Canada. You don't have freedom of speech. Any speech can be deemed hate speech, and then, like what happened to that guy Chud the Builder. What a moron. What happened to that guy Chud the Builder, people get it misconstrued. Oh, he has freedom of speech. He called these black people the N-word, and he said that they were chimping out, and he got attacked for it. He shouldn't be in prison. And, if you say it that way, it's like, yeah, you don't get to attack me for things that I say. Even if I insult you, you don't get to attack me for things that I say. The issue with Chuck the Builder, and the reason why he's still in prison, is because where he did what he did, there is stand your ground laws, which means that you can defend yourself. Like you don't, like, for example, in Canada, if you come into my home and I gravely hurt you, I can get in trouble for that. In certain states as well, you can get in trouble for that. In the state where he did that, they have stand your ground laws, which means that if you attack me, I have a right to defend myself, to completely, destroy the threat against me, right? However, the clause stipulates that this only applies if you don't provoke the situation. And unfortunately, free speech is free speech, but insulting people, that's provocation. And if you provoke someone into a fight, or you provoke them to become aggressive towards you, it's like you can defend yourself, but if you attempt to unalive them because you're using a weapon, um, what's the word I'm looking for? If you commit assault with a deadly weapon, then that constitute that does not constitute defending yourself because you provoked the situation. So that's where freedom of speech is freedom of speech, but stand your ground ends where you provoke the situation. And obviously, free speech is free speech, but hate speech, even though hate speech is free speech, hate speech is provocation. And you don't get to just attempt to unalive someone after provoking them. You're still free to say whatever you want to say. It's just that stand your ground laws no longer apply if you provoke the situation. These people didn't walk up to you to try to have a conversation with you. You walked up to them and insulted them with hate speech, which is free speech, but it's also hate speech. Hate speech is free speech. It is. Do I think that, Chet the Builder shouldn't have the right to say the N-word? I don't care. I don't give a shit what he says. But this is no longer about free speech. It's about stand your ground laws. And stand your ground laws stipulate that if you provoke the situation, sorry. Now, of course, it's subjective in the sense that, if you look at George Zimmerman, he provoked the situation. He followed that kid, Trayvon. He should have been in jail, but karma hit him anyways. So apparently he's homeless. Can't find a job or whatever. Not that I wish that on him, I'm sure he's I don't know. I don't know. All I'm saying is I don't wish harm on anyone. Whatever. Sorry. What is this called again? What are you talking about, Tarai? What is what called? Freedom is just a fairy tale people tell each other to feel important. That's true. That's true. I was fooled. My generation. I'm 39. My generation, when we were kids in school, in high school, and elementary school, teachers used to tell us you can be anything you want to be, and they used to really tell you, you're free, you are free. And then you grow up and you come to find out that no, if you say the wrong thing, you'll end up on a list. I was just on the Targeted Justice website, on the front page of the Targeted Justice website, and they've shared these cognitive liberty documentaries. They've been translated. They're on Rumble. They have all the links on the first page of targetedjustice.com. They have all the links up there. So if you speak Bengali, it's translated. If you speak French, it's translated. You speak Arabic, you speak Russian, Spanish, Portuguese, it's all translated. The whole thing, the whole documentary is translated. So if you guys were looking to share this information with your family, I think it would be a good opportunity to do so, especially if you have family that don't speak English. I'm from French Canada. Most of my friends don't speak English. I know it doesn't seem like it when you hear me like speak English, but English is my third language. Most of my friends don't speak English. So most of the time when I try to share information with them, when I used to, I don't do it anymore. When I used to try to share information with them about gang stalking, it was very complicated because they don't speak English. They don't know what gang stalking is. Try to explain gang stalking to someone that does speak English. Try to get them to understand you and believe you. Mission impossible. And then try to do it in a language that they don't even speak. Not only is it mission impossible, it's frustrating to them because they're like, I don't speak that language. And like, you're all emotional and, you're annoying me at this point. Understandable. I was working on creating a playlist for my lives. Somebody asked me to do playlist of all my lives, and then I watched my first live that I ever did, and I was seeing how many comments and how many likes and views I had on it, and I was like, wow, that's a lot of views. I really got suppressed like crazy. Anyways, it was just funny. Brendan says, which video with Dr. De Facto you recommend in a last live chat? The the video with Dr. De Facto is called Directed Conversation. So you go directed conversation. So you just write Dr. De facto, sorry, gang stalking directed conversation. The name of the title of the video is Gang Stalking Directed Conversation. Gang Stalking Directed Conversation. One of my favorite videos online when it comes to explaining gang stalking and speaking on it. Dr. De Facto, he's a good guy. He's called me a couple of times. We had a few conversations. I did do a interview with him once. He wanted to do another one. I wasn't available at the time. I had a lot going on. But I'd like to do another video with him, honestly. Yeah. Prison Planet, it seems, invisible walls. Man, we can get into some. It can get really deep into you know that subject. It's not something I personally like to touch on, but it's something I like to educate myself on. I just don't like to speak on it. I don't have an opinion about it yet, but it certainly does seem that way. What is this called again? What is what called again? All depends who you're saying it to. If they have connections, look out. I watched your video the other day. Any more news on Nicki Minaj? So I didn't have any more news on Nicki Minaj. It's just, Nicki Minaj hasn't, from what I've seen, hasn't been talking about her gang stalking lately. It's just that Jay-Z, I think a week ago or 2 weeks ago, did a freestyle in Philadelphia on stage with the Roots, and he had choice words for his foes including Dame Dash, his old partner in Rockefeller. No comments about Dame Dash. He had some choice words for Drake. Obviously, Drake's album had come out recently, so everybody was talking about Drake. And then he threw some shots at Nicki Minaj, who had accused Jay-Z of being behind her gang stalking, allegedly. And he said, that lady on that stuff sounds like she's in love with him, basically saying that she's obsessed with him. Her Ken can't even pick up their kid, enough of them, because her husband Kenneth is on the registry, so he cannot be around the school zone. Anyone who's on the registry can't be around the school zone, so he cannot pick up their child, is what he was saying. And his name is Kenneth. And Nicki Minaj calls herself a Barbie, a Barb. Her husband's name is Kenneth. Her Ken can't even pick up the kid. You get it. It's a play on words. Jay-Z likes to do that. And he said something about MAGA Republicans or whatever. And then he said, those shots came from the very top of the government. Good luck with them. Basically saying that, or implying, allegedly implying that he's not behind her gang stalking. It comes from the very top of the government. Good luck. You know, I don't know. I don't know what he meant by it, or if he's actually behind it or not. I think it's very low for him to actually make light of that kind of situation, turn it into a bar. Oh, your life is being destroyed by the government. Haha. It's not me though. Good luck. Um, but yeah, he was just basically saying, in my opinion, allegedly, he was basically confirming that this is the government doing this. But there is nothing new. It's just when I heard it immediately, when I heard him say those words immediately, because gang stalking is on my mind. Immediately, I thought to myself, wait a second. Is he saying what I think he's saying? Is he saying that he's aware of gang stalking tactics and the gang stalking program, and he knows who's behind it? Is that what he's saying? I'll leave you to your to have to come to your own conclusions. This is all alleged. I would very much not like to be sued into oblivion by Rock Nation. I mean, not that you can get blood from a stone, but I'm just saying this is alleged. And it sounded like what he was like, what he was saying was, I'm aware of this, these shots that have been thrown at you, and you know, this is who it comes from. Good luck. Because when Nicki Minaj was sharing a bunch of stories and talking about her being gang stalked and, all the tactics that we go through, right? She was basically saying that she was going through it as well. Now, I saw her story. As soon as she posted it, I saw it and I was like, whoa, what is she talking about? And then I started reading, which is something I don't do. I don't read long paragraphs. But I started reading and I was like, these are all gang stalking tactics. And she was saying that it was happening to her, and she was blaming Jay-Z and Rock Nation and all of that, allegedly. Well, I mean, she was saying it was coming from them. And then for him to say those shots, they're not coming from me, they're coming from the top of the government. Good luck with them. I was like, Mr. Carter, what are you saying right now? Allegedly. Jay is a shot caller for all kind of nefarious things. Tarot reading. I'm not gonna lie to you. If there's one thing I don't believe in, it's tarot reading. But I think that what this tarot reader says has some relevance. I'd like an interviewer to ask him what was the meaning behind that lyric and watch him just raise eyebrows and giggle. Well, I don't think that he would allow anyone to ask him that question. What I thought was interesting, being gang stalked, you have a lot of these moments where you just feel like am I the only person in the world who saw this? Because when it happened, when he said those words about Nikki, nobody really paid attention to what he said about Nikki. People paid attention to what he said about Dame Dash because he said Dame Dash's teeth are falling out, and which is true. Dame Dash, his teeth fell out while he was on live on Instagram, which was a bit of an embarrassing moment for him. And then he spoke about Drake saying that he's not going to respond to someone that he's far surpassed as he's responding to someone he's surpassed. Whatever. Um, and when he said those things, people were talking about that, and all I could think to myself was like, "You're 56, man. You're 56, doing diss tracks. You're 56. You have like 3 kids, and you're 56. You're doing diss songs. You listen to his album. What was it called? 1111 or 2222, I think. What was it called? What was his last album called? 444. There we go. 444. You listen to his last album, 444, and you hear a Jay-Z that has matured and that clearly is speaking on some things that about society, about the struggle of people in poverty and things of that nature, and you go, oh wow, he's matured, and then he comes on stage and this is a bunch of people. Like, aren't you a billionaire? Imagine for a second that Bill Gates or Jeff Bezos started sending shots at their opposition on a public platform. You just look at him like, huh, I thought all this money and power and fame now for Jeff Bezos, because now that he's got money and power, he seems to really be hungry for fame. To each their own. I'm not judging here, but can you imagine? Like, you would just look at him like, I thought all this money, power, and fame would make you happy. Only a miserable person would come on stage and start talking about other people and sending shots and sending low blows at them, and look at a person being tortured by the government and then make a slick comment about them. You go, wow. So none of this is enough to make you happy. Anyways. But the point I was making, I'm so sorry. The point I was making is it made me, it was perplexing to me that none of you people heard that. Like, I'm looking at like these hip hop publications, dismantling everything he said, his lines, his the lyrics, and I'm just like, what? Nope. Did you not hear him? Did you not hear what he said about Nicki Minaj and what she's been going through? But at the same time, most people don't even know about gang stalking, so that's very low of him to freestyle about her gang stalking experience. DMX and Shock G were also gang stalked. I don't know about DMX. I don't know about DMX. It's a possibility. It's highly possible, obviously. I remember at one point he was arrested and he was going to prison, and there was just a camera guy in the court where he was being arrested, and I was like, you can't bring a camera inside there. What's going on? And he was interviewing him, and I was just like, what? Anyways, hey Deb, how's it going? But I do know for sure that Shock G was being gang stalked, and that was a shocker to me. And he used those words. He was talking about gang stalking. He was saying that it's the CIA, and that the CIA has convinced all of his surroundings that he's a bad person. He was saying he was getting hit with directed energy weapons. And then next thing you know, he passed away in a hotel room of alleged overdose. Yeah, okay. So yeah. But yeah, it is very low of him. It was very low. But I wasn't shocked so much at how low it was because Jay-Z has always been pretty low, you know? Like I remember he had beef with Nas, and he had slept with the Nas's baby mother, the mother of his child, and he started talking about that, and he was talking about how he left prophylactics on his baby's seat. And I was like, what? I mean, of course, when I was young at the time, I was like, oh. But now that I'm grown, I'm like, that's disgusting, man. That's gross. Um, of course, he didn't actually do that. I don't think. But now that I'm older, I'm like, what a disgusting thing to say. Anyways, and I don't blame Jay Z for that. I look at it like you have a child with a man, and then you go sleep with his enemy. I look more at the woman like, what are you doing? What are you doing? What's wrong with you? It's 8 billion of us. How do you justify leaving me and then going to my enemy? But then again, who am I? Who am I? Um, it's funny. Michelle A actually did the same thing. She has a child with both Dr. Dre and Suge Knight. These are like mortal enemies. Treacherous. Treacherous. Anyways, I'm so tired of the ups and downs dealing with narcissistic people. I would rather be homeless than live with a narcissist parent. I hear that. I hear that. So yeah. Um he's in the E-Files, closely connected to Diddy. I do think he's a handler. She's been talking about Jay like that long before we got the Diddy case and the E-Files. Hmm. Hmm. I don't know, man. I can't make any type of allegations or anything like that. I don't know what's going on, you know? All I will say is, in my opinion, Diddy is a victim of gang stalking. Everything that happened to Diddy was targeting, because you have to understand, I'm not defending Diddy here. I don't, that's not my job to defend Diddy. What I am saying is that the sentencing he received was for human, uh, you know, trafficking, and he's definitely not guilty of that. I mean, is he guilty of other things? Sure, of course. Yes. Is he guilty of what he was found guilty of? No. Every single person that participated in these activities was consenting, highly consenting. Everybody, everybody. All of the Schmeck's workers that were interviewed said that I am not trafficked. I was paid to do something that I would have done anyways. I was really glad to do it. The only thing that bothered me is that he was watching. All of them said the same thing. He didn't touch me. He never touched me. He never did anything to me that I didn't want. There was no contact between myself and Diddy. All of them said that. The only thing that bothered the only thing that bothered them was he was there and he was giving directives. And he was like, but he paid for that. So, and all of them said the women that were there that we were involved with, they were more than willing, all of them. And he said every time, every single time. So, you know, what is he in prison for? It just so happens that he was suing this, the parent company of Ciroc because they owed him money. It just so happened that at the time, you know, so, you can hate me for saying what I'm saying if you want because, you don't like Diddy or because you've been indoctrinated into hating him or because you hate him justifiably if you do. Doesn't matter. He's not guilty of what he's been found guilty of. There are plenty of people who are guilty of exactly that. And they're free. They're free as fuck. you know? And if you even mention them, you'll get in trouble. You know? Who are you? Hold on. Give me just 1 second, guy. I want to see who that person is. Oh, it's a rapper. Uh-huh. What are you doing here? Go rap or something. No, don't delete his message. It's okay. It's fine. You can delete his message. What did you say? Do you ever think people will wake up and stop taking in all the evil things that they feed to us on a regular? Are you saying something interesting? He was saying something interesting. Well, actually, he said this rapper. I don't mean to disrespect you, okay? I don't mean to disrespect you. I'm sorry that I said I didn't say anything disrespectful. I had a disrespectful tone with you. I'm sorry. I apologize to you. That was not my that's not representative of who I am. I get attacked a lot by gang stalkers on here. Uh, I don't think you're a gang stalker. I think you made a valid point. Okay. My apologies to you, Ty. Um, but Ty is saying he was literally flying Schmeck's workers over state lines, which is legal. And my response to that would be, all right, well, you're going to have to lock up every single celebrity on earth. Because if you think that, every dude with, a blue check on their handle on X or Instagram is not flying out Schmeck's workers on the regular, you are smoking that pack, my friend. All right? And the only difference between Diddy and name a celebrity, insert celebrity name here. The only difference between Diddy and these other celebrities is that Diddy was doing it with men. He was paying men. Your favorite NBA player, your favorite NFL player, your favorite NHL player, all of them, your favorite pro baseball league player, your favorite rapper, your favorite singer, your favorite whatever, your favorite celebrity, they're flying out women to do that constantly, all the time. Diddy was doing it to men. That's the only difference. Everybody was adult, everybody was consenting. What do you give a? And your other, I don't think he's still here. Maybe he is. Who knows? I don't care. But to the other thing you said, the man was literally unaliving people. I'm not defending Diddy for that. You know, I don't have any knowledge of that. If that is true, obviously, then he is where he belongs. What I am saying is that he was not prosecuted for that. He was not found guilty of that. He wasn't indicted of it. He wasn't prosecuted for it, and he was not found guilty of that. That is nowhere in his trial. So, what are we talking about? And like I said, I'm not defending Diddy. That's not my job. I'm not here to defend Diddy. I'm only saying that what he was found guilty of is ridiculous. There's a whole list of clients that need to be arrested long before Diddy. Their victims were children, not willing schmicks, workers, kids. Would that be a fair point, Ty? I do apologize for being disrespectful to you. Because my tone was disrespectful. That's not cool. You don't deserve to be disrespected simply because you disagree with something I said or because you misunderstood something I said. But who knows? You might come back and say something that deserves disrespect, and I will promptly give it back to you. Hopefully not. So, I do apologize. Does gang stalking increase because a TI isn't responding to the lower levels of gang stalking? Does it just increase until we cannot take it anymore? Does gang stalking increase when you don't respond? I wouldn't say that it is a factor that makes a difference in a sense of will it increase because you don't respond. I think it increases when you do respond. To be honest, I think it's the opposite. When you do respond, they'll do more of it. When you don't respond, they're just going to keep running the program until you do respond. What I will say as a factor is if you do respond, they're going to know what to do in order to get at you. And you have to understand that there is no, oh, it's going to get worse if you respond or if you don't respond because you didn't provoke it. They were going to do it anyways, right? What will make them increase it is if you have something else going on in your life. So for example, say you're going through a divorce, they will increase it because they know that you're right on the edge. They know you're already emotionally unstable. If you just lost your job, if you just got a new job, if you're moving, if you are getting married, if something big is happening in your life, positive or negative, doesn't matter. They know that you're already emotional, so you're easier to control with emotions. So I will say that usually it's when when your life reaches certain milestones. If you have, for example, if you had a fight with someone, they might contact that person and propose vengeance to them. Of course, they're not going to give them the whole story, but they like you to respond because they feed on your energy. Yeah, so 100%. I would say that Gang stalking will not necessarily increase because you're not reacting. It might increase because they want you to react more, but the more you react, the more they'll do it. The truth is, if you don't react, usually it'll probably slow down over time. They might crank it up to try to get a reaction out of you, but if you don't, they'll be like, we can't get anything from this person, so screw it, you know? Um, but as soon as you react, they'll crank it up because they're like, oh, there we go, here we go, we found the spot. My 2 cents, they want a reaction out of you. So if you don't react to a noise campaign, they will switch tactics to maybe frequency warfare. And if that doesn't work, they'll send a honeypot essentially. Yeah, I would agree to everything that reverse reality just said. I'm working through a theory right now. I'll give you what I've got. You help me flesh some of it out. The goal is mind control. When you have PTSD, which a lot of, if not all TIs do, you dissociate more. You're you're in an easily hypnotized state. I agree with everything you just said as well. I don't react, so they throw black magic at me. Well, this is a subject I don't really like to, get involved with when it comes to, magic, but I will say that if you don't react, they're going to temporarily crank it up to try to see what they can get you to react to. But for the most part, if you don't react to something, they're either going to change their tactics, they're going to, you know, they're going to try to figure out a way to get you to react. I mean, that's the whole point. The whole goal is to get you to do their dirty work so that they can have clean hands, you know, plausible deniability. It's all about getting you to destroy your own life for them. Hey, Harriet, how's it going? How are you? Haven't seen you in a while. I'm still trying to figure out why I was being gang stalked. I think it's been happening since birth. I just woke up to it in 2020. I think it was because I knew too much and started exposing truths. You know, I personally know exactly why I'm being gang stalked. I know when it started and everything. I can't imagine, a lot of people think that, oh, it's my ex-husband or it's this or that. And the truth is, for a lot of them who think it's their ex or their ex-boyfriend, ex-husband, ex-wife, ex-girlfriend, whatever, a lot of them think that it's them because it ramped up when they broke up or because they've joined in. But the truth is, it was probably happening before. Now, obviously, if you tell me like, oh, my ex-husband is in the army, is military, like high grade military, or my ex-husband is a CIA or FBI agent, I want to be like, yeah, probably. You're more than likely 100% right, But, if you're just dating some dude who works at Kinko's, nothing wrong with working at Kinko's, by the way. I'm just saying, like, someone who doesn't have any type of connection, government connection, and then your gang stalking went crazy during your breakup and after. The truth is, they probably did it because they want you to think it's coming from your ex, so that you'll do something stupid and get in trouble. But, is it possible that your ex who works at Kinko's added you to the list? Sure, yeah, it is possible. Definitely. Is it likely? No. Anyways. They wanted to make an example out of Diddy because he made his handlers look bad. Diddy was too lost in the sauce per se. Reverse reality, man. That dude is on point. That's exactly what I think. I think that they wanted to make an example out of him because he made his handlers look bad. He went after the people that were above him, the people that were signing his paychecks. And these people are powerful. I mean, you got to figure if Diddy's a billionaire and he's suing the people that were paying him, who is he suing? Some pretty powerful people. And the same thing happened to Michael Jackson. He started buying up half of Sony Music. And then he put out this song, They Don't Really Care About Us. Next thing you know, allegations. Believe it or not, most schmex workers are in the program, whether they know it or not. It is trafficking. I mean, I believe that 100%. And I think that a lot of the people who work in that field have the type of psychology mentality that would allow them to participate in that kind of activity in the first place, or that would make them prime targets to the manipulation of a psychopath. I mean, if you're a narcissist, you're very easy to manipulate, especially to a psychopath, because manipulating people is not about being intelligent. Manipulating people is not about being, smarter than everybody else. Manipulating people is really about, are you willing to? Are you willing to or not? Are you willing to lie to people? Are you willing to hurt people who care about you? Are you willing to set people on, missions that will hurt them in the end and feel nothing inside about it? Are you able to do that? That's really all it is. It's not about, oh, I mean, of course they'll put it as like, I'm smarter than you. Like that's why I got up on you. I'm smarter than you. And it makes them feel better. Sorry, allergies. It makes them feel better about themselves, and it makes them feel less. I mean, it justifies their lack of accountability and of emotional detachment. It justifies their emotional detachment to the things that they're doing. They're like, oh, you're just mad because I outsmarted you. Meanwhile, it's like, no, you know, hurting the people who are on your side and the people who love you and who support you, hurting your own family, that's not smart. I have a cousin who's in on my gang stalking, and my other cousin used to ask me for money all the time, and he would always repay me, right? But my other cousin used to ask me for money all the time, and I didn't understand why. I was like, he has a job, he has a great job. Why does he keep asking me for money? That was back in the day when my financials were a bit more stable, and he used to ask me for money all the time. And then come to find out, he was asking me for money to give it to my other cousin because that guy was asking for money. Lo and behold, that guy's now in on my gang stalking. So I've been there for that guy, unbeknownst to me. Of course, I'm not taking credit for it. And if he had asked me for money, I mean, honestly, if he had asked me for it, I probably would have given it to him as long as he gave it back. But I was in that guy's corner, unbeknownst to me, possibly to him as well. The middleman, my cousin in between my other cousin, is a stand-up dude, and he was being there for this guy without necessarily tell him that it was coming from me. And I mean, I can't even tell you the amount of times that I've lent him money and it was going to my other cousin who's now in on my gang stalking. I don't have enough fingers to tell you how many times it happened, right? It was years and years and years of this. And now I'm borrowing money from my cousin. I mean, I paid back though. But um, the point I'm making, I'm sorry for rambling. I ramble. The point I'm making is it is not smart. You may think you're smart, you're smarter than other people for participating in these kind of tactics, and oh well, you're just mad because you didn't do it first, or you weren't smart enough to like participate. No, I wouldn't backstab people who are in my corner. I wouldn't backstab people who would go to bat for me. I wouldn't backstab people who love me. Not because I'm not smart. It's because I couldn't sleep at night if I did. So how old is reversiality? I'm very curious to know how old he is because you're wise. It always annoys me when young people are wise because I'm like, what did you suffer? Because the price of wisdom is pain. I'm like, what did you suffer to be this wise? When I see like really young people that are wise, I'm like, what are you going through? What's your life like? You know, sit down, talk to me. What's going on? I hate wise young people, wise youth. I want you to be as dumb and innocent and happy-go-lucky as possible. If you tell me you're in your 20s, I'm gonna lose it. I'm the black sheep of my family. I've been set up for failure because I speak truth. If I was wealthy, I would give money to all my family. What's he saying? They are all set up with high-paying jobs, but go out of their way to put me down. Spiritual attacks. Crab in the bucket mentality because they see my potential and won't support me out of fear and jealousy. But if the roles were reversed, I would shower them with love and support. They know I'm going to be successful, but demons in them doesn't allow them to be humble. They're all prideful, narcissistic egomaniacs. Can any of y'all relate? Yep. How old are you? Reverse reality. How old are you? I swear to God, if he says like he's 27, I'm pissed. I don't want to say anything. I don't want to say anything because I'm gonna regret it. I can't even. I can't. I can't. I'm gonna say something. No, no. I'm gonna say something I'm gonna regret. No. And this is a lesson to everyone. When you're angry, I'm gonna get back to you when I'm not pissed. I know they're doing it because if unraveling this is like a sweater, I'm at the collar. I pull one string, this shit's gonna fall apart. I would hate to know who's doing this to me. You know, the truth about it, a lot of people who think they know who's behind it have no idea. The truth about this program is that by the time you realize it's happening to you, you are like 5 layers deep into who is participating in your gang stalking. I'm going to repeat that. By the time you figure out that you're that you're a target of organized harassment, gang stalking, you're 5 layers deep in who is attacking you. It doesn't just go, oh, some guy added you to the list and then they contact, people to go after you. No. The first thing is reputation destruction. I mean, first of all, the first step is espionage. They just look at you, they spy on you to figure out what can be used against you that will be believable to others. Or they try to figure out what can we do to get this person to act out of character so that we can use their reactions to persecution against them in order to destroy their reputation. So the first thing is espionage. Second thing is they're going to try to create some sort of frustration in your life, hardships, things of that nature, in order to get you to react. And then when they have what they need, they'll start to try to destroy your reputation. If they can't find anything, they'll just make it up. You're a racist. You're a sexist. You're on the registry. It doesn't matter that you're not on the registry. I work for the government and I show your name on the registry. Now what? I'm not on the registry, by the way. I just want to put that out there. But I'm also saying if you were, I wouldn't think that you're deserving of it. But one of my things, I'm not perfect, but one of my things one of the things that I'm very adamant about is leave people's kids alone. Don't touch other people's kids. We got another gang stalker in there. But the point I'm making is, by the time you realize it's happening to you, the person who started it is, 5 layers away. You know, it's layers upon layers of, you know, people, getting to your surroundings and sending strangers at you, or, you know, getting you hired at jobs where, everyone is going to be in on it, or certain people are going to be in on it. You get hired, you can't find the job, and then you get hired at this job super easily, and you think, oh great, awesome, it's over. Meanwhile, it's like, no, we laid the groundwork at that place before you got there. If you knew every effort, if you heard every conversation, and you knew every effort that was done behind your gang stalking, your jaw would drop. You would be like, how am I this important? What the hell is this? If you don't know who, maybe you just pissed off a cop pulling that string. You have to keep pulling and pulling, and it's a ball of yarn by the time to get to where I am. It's very true. You may think it's my ex-husband. Meanwhile, it's just, some cop that you flipped the bird to when you were, you know, 13 years ago. And you think it's your ex-husband because they ramped it up when you divorced. Or you think it's your ex-girlfriend because they ramped it up when you guys broke up. What is your name? My name is Kevin. My name is Kevin. The moment you seek to defend yourself, that's when you have stepped into their frame. You already lost. Silence and non-reaction is key. Let God fight your battles and stay away from them. 100%. 100%. God, I hate how wise you are. This is pissing me off. But at the same time, it makes us stronger. These things make us stronger. I just wish you didn't have to be. But yeah, this is a wise dude. Reversiality is a wise dude. You guys should listen to what he's saying. I have no idea what lies they spread on me, but it must be heavy because the smear campaign has been going hard, taking all my family away. What's mind-boggling is that not one told me. Yeah. I mean, I'm at that point too, where family members are being turned against me. I think what shocks me the most is not that they've turned against me, it's that no one is confronting me. No one is talking to me about their grievances against me. These aren't like strangers. These are people I was close to. This is not like extended family. It's like, no, our parents are brothers and sisters of the same parents. We share the same grandparents. Our parents are brothers and sister. Like his dad is my mother's old brother. Our parents grew up in the same home. We were close. Now they're in on my gang stalking. I will say I'm lucky because the people in my family that I'm really close to, like really close to, they're not a part of it. Now, they don't believe me, which I've learned to let go, but they're part of it. I think they do that because they're ashamed and feel guilt about what they have done. Make no mistakes, the people in my family that are in on it have no guilt or shame about what they've done. They feel very righteous. They feel very righteous and they're very angry at me because of what they've been told. Now, I don't want to make it sound like, oh, I'm this perfect person who has done nothing. I participated in some pretty nasty gossip about certain people in my family. Like one of my family members is adopted by our grandparents. His actual parents are deceased. since he was like a young baby. They've been deceased, and our grandparents adopted him, and I thought he was my uncle. It turns out he's my cousin. His parents are deceased. So I participated in some gossip about that. One of my cousins is, can you say naked on YouTube? She's naked on YouTube. There's a video of her, like a music video where she's naked. I mean, you can't see anything, but she is naked. Like she's showering in that music video, and I participated in some gossip about that. I said some not very nice things about that decision that she made, which I think is a poor decision that she made. I participated in some gossip about that. And I participated in some gossip about my other cousin, who was the first person to actually tell everyone that my uncle is actually my cousin. He was adopted. So, they're mad at me for participating in gossip about them. Now, I didn't like go on the internet and start spreading these things about them or whatever. I was communicating to my cousins who are very close to me about these certain things that were going on in our family. And, I was not nice. And I feel guilt about it. I feel bad about it, you know? Um, because at the time that I did it, they didn't deserve that. They didn't deserve to be spoken about in that manner. Um, and I was wrong. And I've apologized to all of them. Yeah, I apologized to all of them. And of course, when I apologize to them, they're like, "What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about." They're playing that game, and you know, the point I'm making is they feel no shame, no guilt in participating in this, but also what I think, I could be wrong. What I think is they're not aware of the gravity of the situation. You know, I think one of my cousins is aware of it because he was giving me some really bad advice about what I should do, how to handle my gang stalking, which is really funny because two of these cousins of mine who are now participating in my gang stalking, when I was going through it but didn't understand what it was, I went to them to tell them, hey, I think my computer is hacked. Can you help me out? Because they're like super computer savvy. And I brought my computer to them, like, hey, can you help me out? Can you like look through my things, see if like there's something going on? And they checked and they're like, there's nothing. I can't find anything. And we were on good terms and everything. And then, boom, now they're in on it. Um, so, oh, Lorna, I would like to know, what do you think is going on behind my gang stalking? I mean, I get what you're saying. Like, oh, well, what you're saying, it doesn't make sense. Like, for them to start participating in that stuff, and that's not enough to turn them against you. And it's like I've had that thought before. I've thought to myself, maybe they're really over exaggerating what I have done. Which what I've done is wrong. If they did that about me, if I found out that about them, if I found out like they were talking about me to our other cousins and said awful things about me, I'd be mad. I'd be sad. I'd be really sad because in my head I'd be like, I thought we were family. Why would you say these things about me? However, I can honestly say that you couldn't get me to like make efforts to mess with them, like doing directed conversation the way that they did. And you could not get me to participate in gang stalking against them. And and if they came to me apologizing, I would forgive them. I honestly would. Especially considering that I've apologized to them more than once. If you came to me apologizing once, maybe I would be like, whatever, I don't want to talk to you. But if you gave me some time to like actually process it, I would forgive because I love them. They're my cousin. I still do. They participate in my gang stalking pretty heavily, as a matter of fact. I went to my grandfather's funeral, the man who my cousin thought was his father. And when he got on the podium, instead of talking about his father, well, his grandfather, who he thought was his father, who raised him, instead of talking about his grandfather and honoring his grandfather, he was sending directed messages at me. And I was just sitting there like, what a fucking loser. What are you doing? He's up there talking about, I don't know if you guys heard some rumors, like people might have been gossiping, to you that, my like my father is actually my grandfather. I call him and he's like sending shots at me and looking at me while he's talking. And I'm just like, honor your father, you astaghfirullah. Um, but he was sending shots at me while he was on there. And then my sister got on the podium and started sending shots at me as well. Mildly. I wouldn't say that she was sending shots, but she was talking about me. And I was like, why are you talking about me? And as a matter of fact, when she got on the podium, I was like, why are you even on the podium? You've never had any interactions with our grandfather. My grandfather has babysat me more than anyone. I don't remember her having any type of interaction with my grandfather. Because when me and my twin brother were getting babysat by my grandfather, she was with my mother. Or she was somewhere. I don't know where she was. Anyways, but I mean, they were just on the podium at my grandfather's funeral, open casket. He's right there, and you're sending shots at me. I just thought, wow. The point I'm making, I'm so sorry for rambling. My apologies. My apologies. The point I'm making is Lorna says, I'm pretty sure there's something else going on behind your gang stalking. However, I don't think there is. I think that these people spy on everyone. And what they've gathered is that these people have the proper personality to be manipulated into doing hateful shit. That's what I think. I mean, there's nothing you could tell me about one of my family members that would make me abuse them, that would make me hurt them, that would make me participate in their covert torture. Nothing. There isn't nothing. You can say, oh, he stole from you. Plenty of my cousins have stolen from me. Plenty. Oh, he talked shit about you. Plenty of my cousins have talked shit about me. I could have a fist fight with my cousin and never talk to him again. You couldn't make me participate in hurting him. You know? So what I actually think is they pinpointed that, oh, these people are high in narcissism traits. And like I said, narcissists are easy to manipulate. If you're a psychopath, manipulating a narcissist is very easy. It's very easy. You just have to be willing to do it. So, and this is also one of the reasons why I've given up on trying to reconcile with my family members who participate in my gang stalking. Though it would be helpful to me because I would have someone who's been on the other side that could confirm, yes, this is true. Like, even if we don't have a relationship in the future or whatever, it would help me because at that point it would be like, okay, this happened. He was in on it. I forgive him. We can move on. But, hey guys, be careful. This is real. Family, you should know about this. But the reason why I've given up, though it would be really helpful to me if they actually were truthful, honest with me, or just stop. I would appreciate it. The reason why I've given up is because I understand that the actual issue is not that I've gossiped about them, which was wrong, which I'm sorry for, and I've apologized for. The actual issue is that they are high in narcissism traits. So, given an opportunity to take revenge on someone that they feel offended them, attack their egos, can't pass up on it. Impossibility. This is something that they're starving for at all times. They've been offered that opportunity on a silver platter. Here you go. Revenge with a side of plausible deniability and financial gain. That's like looking at a kid and going, puppy? Couldn't say no. So I know what the actual issue is. It's not there's something wrong with me. I'm human. I participated in human activity. I also participated in the activity of recognizing my wrongs and apologizing because I was wrong. But the actual issue is they were offered something they simply could never say no to because of who they are. And my participation in their gossip has nothing to do with their narcissistic traits or the wrong decisions that, one of my cousins made. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with my insecurities, my flaws, my failings as a man. Don't gossip about people. Don't say things about people that you wouldn't say to their faces, right? That was my failing, and I recognize it. But I also recognize that their participation in my gang stalking has very little to do with what I did. It has to do with who they are. That offers me peace. You get praise and admiration and everything just gets easier. What do you mean? I've never heard of any other TIs having the experience, so they know I have evidence. They know that easily leads to the top. Anyone else get gang stalked like that? Do you get directed conversations where you get praise and admiration and everything else just gets easier? Huh. I don't think so. What if during they were able to identify who would flip and who would comply, and now they're coming for those who would flip and oppose the New World Order? Well, my gang stalking began 20 years ago. So, I mean, it did get worse by the end of 2019, which is, anyways. But at the end of 2019 is when I broke up with my ex. So, December 25th, 2019, to be exact. And it really ramped back up at that time. But it started 20 years ago. I mean, literally, it started in 2006. Literally. I started noticing directed conversations in 2006. So. I was on that list long before. Kevin, I like that you take the time to play and sing so that TIs do not consume you 24 hours. You got a life. Thank you. Thank you, Dev. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, I have a wife. I have family that loves me, certain family members that love me. I have my dog, my guitar. I haven't played my guitar in a really long time, though. Those videos are actually pretty old. But no, I don't, is gang stalking on my mind most of the time? Sure. Yes. Does it consume me to the point where I'm not doing anything else other than that? No, no. I'm living my life. So yeah, you are correct. And I do appreciate that you can see it and that you pointed out. It doesn't consume me 24/7. It is on my mind often. It's like, because not so much because I'm like, oh, they're destroying my life and I don't know what to do and I'm so lost. It's really more of every day I wake up and I'm like, how can I erode at this program? What can I do as a part of my participation in eroding at this program every day? I wake up and I think to myself, what is going to be my action of the day against this program? Raising awareness, pointing out gang stalking instances in mainstream media, like Jay-Z sending shots at Nicki. Talking about the tactics that are being used, pointing out something that happened to me, talking to someone who's going through it and offering them support. I'm just doing my part. But yeah, how long did it take to learn the guitar? I started in high school. But I was never really good. There was this girl. She was actually on that show, Canadian Idol, at one point. She didn't make it as a finalist though. Um, or did she? I think she did. Anyways, I think you guys can actually look her up. Her name is Lourdes. If I look her up, yeah, if you look up her name, it's Lourdes Mitrotti. Her last name is Italian for some reason. I think she's half Italian. Lourdes Mitrotti. She was in on Canadian Idol, and sorry, I'm just gonna show her. I don't know if she's gonna hate that I'm showing her. I'm very sorry, Lourdes. But the person who showed me how to play the guitar is Lourdes when we were 17. Here she is at 17. I was actually with her when she went to go audition for Canadian Idol. And sorry, Lourdes. And she's the one that showed me how to play the guitar when I was in high school. And I was playing for years, but I was never really good. And then I went through I knew like maybe 5, 6 songs. And then I went through my breakup in 2019. I was in a relationship for 13 years with the same lady who I also went to high school with. And she was a covert narcissist, which in simpler terms is a baby psychopath. Oh, I just realized now you guys know what city I live in. I live in Montreal. But yeah, I was in a relationship with this covert narcissist for 13 years. And when I broke up with her on December 25th, 2019, the gang stalking ramped up. Everything got really worse. Things were, my life was starting to go into shambles. Thank you, Lorna. Appreciate the jewels, the star. Thank you very much, Lorna. Um, but yeah, my life was kind of going not down the drain, but things were tough. There are some things that were done to me, as far as gang stalking, that I don't even want to talk about it because it's so unbelievable. If I told you what happened and who participated in it and what was done, you know, like there's doctors, doctors that are involved in my gang stalking. Doctors with several S's, like if I told you about it, my credibility would gone, you know? Now, make no mistakes, these things that happened to me are all 100% true. But if I told you about it, you would never believe me and you would have no reasons to. And I'm telling you, as a person who is going through gang stalking, speaking to another person who's going through gang stalking, if I told you what I went through, you would not believe me. You'd be like, yeah, you're going too far, buddy. No, doctors are not doing that. And I'm telling you, anyways, whatever. But yeah, so in order to, heal from my breakup and Lorna, you would not believe me. But in order to heal from my relationship of 13 years, because I speak of her like a baby psychopath and a covert narcissist. I was in love with her. All right, I loved her. So breaking up with her, it destroyed me. Breaking up with her after I realized what she was, and I realized that she was not going to change. She was only going to get worse. That destroyed me. I remember telling her when we broke up, I remember telling her like, hey, and I've told you guys this before, but I love to bring it up again for the people who haven't heard it. But I remember telling her, because I was learning about narcissism, and I remember telling her when we broke up, I said, hey, look, Me and you are over. Nothing can be done about that, right? I simply want to help you for the future and let you know that you're a narcissist. And though me and you are over, you know, I understand you're not willing to work on it and you're not willing to go see a therapist with me to work on your narcissism. I get that. I understand. And I don't want anything from you. But in order to help you in your future relationships, this is something that you should look at and that you should work on fixing because it will affect you in your future relationships. And I shit you not. What she said to me was, I don't have to work on it. I just have to find somebody else who has a lot of empathy. You think I'm making that up? That's it. These are the exact words she said to me in French. I don't have to work on it. I just have to find someone else who has a lot of empathy. Telling me, letting me know in no uncertain words, I know I'm a narcissist. So what? It's not a problem for me. It's a problem for you. And you're replaceable. You figured me out. Congratulations. It took you 13 years, idiot. Now I'm going to find the next sucker. That's what she was saying. So the breakup was, and this is a woman that I loved, right? So the breakup was tough, you know. It was easier than it would have been if I was not aware of what a narcissist is, or I don't even think I would have broken up with her if I didn't find out what a narcissist was, because I would have kept blaming myself for all of the issues that um, we had. How old was she at the time? Well, I was 33, which means that she was 32. Yeah, 31, 32, 32. Sorry. Um, so yeah, she was fully aware. And, I remember when she said that, I thought to myself, what a strange thing to say. And then later on, I was like, oh shit, she knows. She's known all along, you know? But I will say that that's why I learned to play my guitar and I learned so many songs. It's because I had to figure out some way to occupy my time. I learned to cook, I learned to play the guitar, I learned a whole bunch of stuff like work on my car and things of that nature. I just like gave myself a bunch of missions to occupy my time and make myself a better person. Ape hands, I'm watching you now trying to avoid a narc argument. You know, Ape hands, you could be picking at your nose right now and you would be doing something more constructive than an argument with a narcissist. What a waste of energy arguing with a narcissist is. What an absolute waste of energy. Wise decision. They're flat out running into head on and still don't get it. Sounds like your ex is a bit delusional. Narcissists are delusional. They're completely delusional because they think that they can mistreat the people around them in their lives and that you're supposed to take it and be okay with it. And if you treat them the way they treat you, then they go, how could you treat me like that? And you go, how could you treat me like that? But it's different. They're delusional people. You know, I don't understand narcissists. I understand what they are, on an academic level. I can read books and understand what they are, but not actually. I don't actually understand them because they don't make sense. And I don't understand things that are nonsensical. I understand them only theoretically. What's up, Ricardo? Sean. It's a great name. Sean is a great name. When she hits her late 50s, she's going to be in for a rude awakening. When the looks fade, all that will be is an unmasked narcissist. It will get really ugly for her. And one thing I will say is that when I started to research narcissism and I understood what narcissism was, and I started to understand that narcissism was basically the scientific word for evil. How ugly she became to me is something that needs to be studied. Now, this is a woman that I was in love with for 13 years, very much so. And overnight, she just became the ugliest person to me. And I kept asking myself, how could I possibly be with someone this ugly? I do know the story of Narcissus, of course. Narcissus fell in love with his reflection in the water and drowned. I don't think that she's going to be in for a rude awakening. I think that these people are unable of awakening. I think that what's going to happen is she's going to, dive further and further into loneliness and into destruction, and she will never be able to pinpoint what she did in order to get there, and she'll start blaming others the way that she has forever, you know? Like for example, when I was 18, my mother kicked me out. She called the police on me and told them that I hit her. Now I never hit her. And as a matter of fact, she hit me on that day several times, and I never hit her in my life. But she called the police on me and told them that I hit her. Now the reason why she did that is because she was no longer getting child support from my father, and she wanted me and my siblings to go to court and tell the courts that my father never paid child support because my father was paying. He wasn't paying through the system. He was just paying under the table. Never missed a payment, as a matter of fact. He was just paying her under the table, and she would just pocket the money. And because there was no record of him giving her any money, she wanted us to go to court and tell them that she never received anything so that he would have to continue paying her. This happened to an NBA player once. They considered everything that he gave the mother of his child, everything that he gave her was considered a gift because there was no envelope with child support or any proof that it was child support. He was just giving her money, right? This is an NBA player we're talking about. And then when his child turned 18 and he retired, she took him to court to say that she never received child support, and she won because he couldn't prove that the money he gave her was child support. The judge says, no, these are gifts. These are considered gift. But what is my proof that this was child support? So he owed her like $1 million, something like that, something crazy, as a matter of fact. But that's what my mother was trying to do to my father, and we all refused to do that. And my mother started showing her true colors, and I was the last one who stayed. My brother moved out, started living alone in the block, like the next block. He lived 20 seconds away from where we were. My sister, I have no idea where she went. We've never talked. We've never been close, and I can honestly say that we never will be. But she called the police on me and told them that I hit her, and to this day, if you were to ask her, or if you were to talk to her, she would tell you that her children abandoned her. At my grandfather's funeral, her father, you just pinpointed why you attracted a narcissist girlfriend because you were raised by one, just like myself. 100%. That behavior was normalized, romanticized. Like it became like I was blinded by the romantic idea that you are meant to, as a man, you're meant to set yourself on fire to keep your woman warm. So yeah, yeah. And I don't blame my ex for that. I don't blame my mother for it. I simply view them as victims of themselves because my mother didn't become a narcissist for no reason. Someone did some really messed up things to her when I don't know who or what, but someone did some really messed up things to her when she was a child. And that child abuse has resulted into her becoming a narcissist. And when it comes to my ex-girlfriend, uh, her mother went through abuse as a child, and that abuse turned into her mother um, uh, spoiling her daughter, which turned her daughter into a narcissist as well, because spoiling is child abuse. You know, if you spoil something, it goes bad, right? Once something is spoiled, it goes bad, and it may not seem like spoiling is not child abuse, but you know, if you refuse, you know, to allow your child to become a responsible person, if you refuse to allow your child to deal with the consequences of their actions, if your child is meant to think that they're always right and you know whatever, you know. So I don't blame them. It is what it is. Life is life. I see it as I'm wiser now and I know, and I only feel sorry for them that the way I healed from my lack of self-love, they will never heal from their narcissism because you can't heal from that. I really just feel sorry for them. That's really the truth. But yeah, you know, at my grandfather's funeral, my mother showed up. She showed up late, and I remember I was telling my wife, I was like, because my wife had never met my mother before, and I was telling her, get ready for the show, and she was like, "What do you mean?" And I was like, "Oh, this is not my grandfather's funeral." And she was like, "Where are we going?" And I was like, "We're going to the show, my mother's show." She was like, "What are you talking about?" And then I told her, You just watch. You just wait and see." And of course, you know, my mother came late. Um, you know, while the funeral was in proceeding, and you know, there was someone talking. There was a pastor talking. She came late, as she often does, and she came screaming and crying, and you know, like people had to go get her and stuff. And you know, I'm just looking at it like you treated your father like crap. You know, you dropped us off at his me and my brother at his house for days on end, no money, no food, and he was just left to like raise your kids for you. You know, you never showed him any type of respect, or you know, never appreciated him. You barely ever talked to him, and now that he's gone, you're crying, you know, screaming and crying. You know, I just saw it for what it was, which was it was her trying to make this situation about herself. Her father passed away, but she wanted to make it about herself. And I know it's like really awful to say something like that, especially if you don't know her. But that's exactly what she did. And my wife saw that, and she was like, you know, she's just sad. And I'm like, well, all her sisters and her brothers are here as well, and they're not doing this. She's the only one doing this. And if really if this was something that was important to her, her father was really important to her, she wouldn't show up late. She would show up on time like everybody else did, right? And so she's like doing her show, and then everybody's looking at me like, "Go get your mother." And I'm like, "If you don't turn your head, don't look at me. Focus in front, right?" And I don't have a mother. Leave me alone. And after that, after the service and everything, I basically told my ex, you know, watch what happens. No, my cousin's wife came to me, and she said, "It's really terrible, you know what your mother did." I was so sad, and I was like, "Word?" I was like, "Wait for the second act." And she was like, "What second act?" And I was like, "She's gonna go around to everybody. She's gonna tell them that her children, like she's sad because her children abandoned her, and then she's gonna ask you for money." And she was like, "Why would she do that?" And I was like, "Because that's who she is. You watch." And she didn't believe me. A week later, at my wedding, the wife of my cousin was there, and she came to me and my wife, and she was like, "I can't believe it." And I was like, "What? What was going on?" And she was like, "You were 100% right." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" Because I couldn't remember that I said that. She's like, "You were 100% right." And I was like, "What?" And I had left earlier at the funeral because I was being gang stalked by family members, uh, and because I didn't want to see the third act of my mother's show or the second act. But she's like, "You were right." She went to everybody, told them that her children abandoned her, and then she asked us for money. And I was like, "Yeah, that's who she is." And the reason why it's so funny to me is because she tells people her children abandoned her. She called the police on me and told them that I beat her. I never touched her. She hit me on that day, several times on that day. She punched me several times on that day. And then she called the cops. When I ran away from her, locked myself in a room, she called the cops on me and told them that I hit her. And now she's playing the victim, telling everybody that I abandoned her. I refused to talk to her. I'm sorry for rambling, but the point I'm making is they don't get an awakening. They spiral down their narcissism. They block out any kind of accountability for their actions. There is no moment of awakening when they realize, oh my God, I've been destroying my own life and I've been pushing away the people that love me. And I need to. No, it never happens. It's unfortunate. What did the cops do to you after she did that? Well, what happened is I was in my room. So I locked myself in the bathroom. And then when she stopped trying to blow down the door, I went into my room and I was watching TV. And then this Asian lady, police officer, opens my door. And I mean, you can imagine my shock. Like, there's a Asian lady with a gun on her waist just looking at me. And I'm like, uh, can I help you? And the first thing she said to me was, she had her hand on her waist and she's like, your mother said that you hit her. And, immediately I started crying. I mean, I was 18. I started crying and I asked her, does it look like I hit her? But not like in this manly voice that I have right now. I said it like a kid that is crying his eyes out. I asked her, does it look like I hit? I mean, it sounded more like, anyways. And she did not want to deal with that. So she walked out the room, bless her heart. She walked out the room and then there were three more police officers that were talking to her. I didn't hear what they were saying. I was very busy crying. And then she came back and she said, look, we don't believe that you hit her, but you do have to go. She wants you to leave. And I left. I called my cousin who lived like 15 minutes away. He ran to my place. My cousin is solid. He's my guy. And we put all my stuff in garbage bags and I went to go live at his house for like a month. I was in college at the time. I was in college and I had a job. I was in college and I worked at Subways. I was 18. And yeah, I went to go live at his house for a month. And then my father found out that I was essentially homeless. And he called me and he said, your aunt, my cousin's mother, who's not really my aunt, she's, my cousin's father is my mother's brother. His mother is, my mother's ex-friend. And when she found out that I got kicked out, she understood because she knows my mother. She used to be her friend, her best friend when I was like 5, and they haven't been close since. So she understood and she allowed me to stay there. And she contacted my father and told him that I was homeless, that I was abandoned by my mother. When she realized that there was no reconciliation, I wasn't gonna go back. And then my father came to pick me up, and I lived with my father for a year maybe. And then I found out that I had a little brother, which was insane. I was like, he brought me to his place. I walk in, and there's like this very pretty woman in his apartment, and I'm like, and she's holding a baby. I'm like, who's that? She's like, that's my wife. And I'm like, okay. Well, she wasn't holding a baby. She wasn't holding a baby. She was just standing there in the hallway, and and all I remember is I walked in and I was like, that's a pretty lady. Who is that? I'm like, who's that? She's like, he's like my wife, and I'm like, oh, he got married. He didn't tell me that. And then I walked into the living room and I saw a picture of myself when I was a baby, but there was no other pictures. I have a twin brother and a big sister. And I'm just looking at the living room and I see a picture of myself as a baby. And I'm like, why is there a picture of me as a baby? Like I turned to my dad and I'm like, why do you have a picture of me as a baby? Where's everybody else? And then he just looked at me and he's like, that's not you. And I'm like, who's that? He's like, your little brother. I was like, nigga, I don't have a little brother. And it turns out I did. I found out I had a little brother that day. My little brother is cool though. He's very cool. Actually, my little brother is 21 now. I'm 39. So I met him when I was 18. Uh, my little brother's cool now, and is I'm not gonna talk about that. I'm not gonna talk about that. My little brother's cool. He's cool. I just saw him 2 days ago, 3 days ago, something like that. I saw him on Saturday. We had a fun time. He's a great kid, very smart, and he looks a lot like me. I have a twin brother. I don't even look like him. My twin brother looks like my sister. I don't look like my twin brother at all. And my whole life, I thought to myself, how can he be my twin? How can I be a part of this family? I don't look like my mother. I don't look like my father. What is going on? And then my brother turned 15 and I saw, well, no. Well, I mean, I saw my little brother when he was a baby and I was like, oh, okay. That's where that's where I get my looks from. He looks just like me. Let me show you me and my brothers and sisters, as a matter of fact, because I think it's very funny. So this is me. This is my little brother. I think he was 15 in that picture, right? This is my twin brother. Twin. This is me. This is my twin brother. I'm wearing the same shirt in that picture that I'm wearing, right? No, I'm not. Sorry. This is my twin brother. This is me. This is my father. This is my sister. Don't they look alike? I mean, they obviously look like they're related, right? I don't even have the same mother as this kid. He looks like my son. Isn't that crazy? It's funny like that. Anyways, I hope you found that story to be entertaining because I just rambled like crazy. Let's read some comments. I had a good life in a good neighborhood and everything was perfect, but my mother, because she was unhappy, decided to ruin our entire lives. Oh man. First of all, I'm sorry that happened to you, but I can honestly say that, you know, same. My parents got back together when I was 7. Sorry, when I was 5, when I was 5, when I was 7, and when I was 13. When I was 5, when I was 7, when I was 11, and when I was 13. And every time my parents got back together, we moved to a better neighborhood, and life got immediately better. And my mother was very adamant on making her life harder, chasing after guys who don't love her instead of being with the father of her children. And I grew up on welfare because my mother had a point that she was trying to prove that was really more important than not eating Kraft Dinners mac and cheese every day or boiled hot dog sausage every day. Can you imagine growing up? And I remember when I told my dad that my mother called the police on me and told them that I hit her. He said, "Your mother did the same thing to me." And I was like, "What? What?" He was like, "Yeah, but she accused me of like way worse things. I'm not even going to say it, but thank God the police didn't believe her at that time as well, because my mother is two things: a liar and a bad liar. I mean, she lies a lot, but she's not very good at lying. Um, so thank God they didn't believe her. But yeah, she didn't just do that to me. When I was 33, I told my dad about it, and that was the first time I had a conversation with my dad. Um, is when I broke up with my ex, because even when I lived with him for a year, we never talked. Me and my father had never been close because I was so close to my mother, and my mother sort of, I mean, didn't turn me against him, but she always punished me for trying to get close to my dad, so I just stopped. Unbeknownst to him, of course. Be good or be good at it. No, she didn't. Thank God. Um, but yeah, the first time I had a conversation with my dad is when I went through my first breakup. Well, not my first breakup, but I went through my breakup with, in that relationship that lasted for 13 years. And then that was the first time I told, because he helped me, like I told him, like, you know, come help me move my stuff, please. And he showed up. I didn't expect him to show up. And then I found out that the reason why I'm not close to my father is because I never ask him for anything. Anytime my brother or sister wants something or needs something, they call him because it's their dad. And I felt bad about calling him because I'm like, I've been blowing him off my whole life. And now when I need him, I'm supposed to call him. Like, oh, I'm homeless, dad. I didn't. I just swallowed my pride. I was like, and then, I felt really stupid because it's like, it's your dad. It's your father. Call him. Um, but yeah, as soon as I started, calling him when I needed him, then we started getting close. And now, I'll call him for like stuff that I don't even need. Like, hey, dad, I need to change my oil. Can you help me out? I know how to change my own oil. I just do it to spend time with my dad. Yeah. Anyways, let's read some comments. If I conform, then they are happy, but the moment you push back against the lies and speak truth, they sabotage everything. Yeah. Sounds like you need to get out of there. What do you do for a living? I work in retail. What do I do for a living? I don't want to talk about that. I work. I work. I train dogs. There you go. I train dogs. You sure this is not a case of heteropaternal superfecundation where twins have different fathers? I thought so. I thought that me and my twin brother had uh different dads, but we're not. We're only fraternal twins. We don't come from the same sack. Like identical twins come from the same sack, but we had two different sacks. So we're fraternal twins, and fraternal twins are basically just brothers that were born on the same day. They're not they're not actually twins. They're, they're just brothers. But when and I always thought I don't look like any of these people. How come and I have a twin brother? And I didn't understand the concept of fraternal brothers and like, two sacks and one sack. I didn't get that. Like, if you are born of the same sack, you will look, the same. You will be identical twins. But if you're born of two different sacks, you're basically brothers. I mean, not even basically. You are brothers. You're not really twins. You just happen to have been born. Anyways, you guys get what I'm saying. But I always thought, there has to be something wrong here. But then I met my little brother and I was like, oh no, I get it now. I get it. I understand. This kid looks exactly like me. How, how lucky are we? We get the handsome twin. You know how they say there's always a cuter twin, but you jackpot. Both these twins are handsome. Yeah. I mean, I think my twin brother is more handsome than I am, personally. Um, but thank you. I appreciate the compliment. Just don't compliment me too much. If you compliment me more than twice, my wife will pop up behind you and you know don't do it. I'm currently in a rental that my parents own, but it's so run down in a bad area. Do you have peace though? Do you have peace? Do you have peace of mind? Peace of mind is worth everything. It is better to live on the corner of the roof of a home than to live with a quarrelsome woman or a quarrelsome person, really. Do you have peace in that rundown? I do have peace. There we go. If you have peace, reversiality, if you have peace, you have everything you need. My mother refuses to admit what she did wrong, and both my mom and dad are narcs. Extremely prideful. It's because they have money. You know, they say money doesn't make you happy. Money doesn't equal happiness. But the truth is, if you're a narcissist, money won't make you happy. If you're a narcissist, nothing will make you happy. So you didn't know you had a brother the whole time. Well, I mean, he had just been born recently, and I found out that he was, um, he was like a year old when I met him. A year old? He was a newborn, honestly. Yeah, he was a newborn. He was still being breastfed when I met him. I didn't. I mean, forget not knowing that I had a brother. I didn't know my dad had a new wife. I knew nothing. I didn't speak to my father at that time. I was mad at everybody for I felt abandoned. I just felt like I have all these uncles and aunts. I've been thrown out of my home. No one is sticking up for me. I'm living in the house of my cousin's mother, who's not related to me. I didn't talk to anyone. And to tell you the truth, at the time I was mad at my father. I just felt like, you know her. How could you leave us with her? And of course, that was when I was 18, but today I realize he did everything he could. He did everything he could, and you know, he's a human. He's a human being, you know. Like my father's not perfect, but he's very far from being a bad man. My father's a good man. He's a good father. Um, my father has never persecuted me. My father has never raised his hand on me. Uh, you know, and it's not like he never had a reason to. Like he was only around when I was a kid. And I was a good kid. I was definitely not a bad kid. I was definitely a good kid, but there are moments where I know, a beating would have been justified. And He gave me a stern talking to, like a parent should. And I was so afraid. I was like, is he going to hit me? I was like, please don't, please don't. Because I don't know. Like, I know what she does, my mother. It's like, I don't want to find out what you will do. Please. I apologize. I will never do it again. My dad is a good dad. Anyways. Those earthly families are mainly karmic, in my opinion. It's best to go no contact. Yeah, yeah. I mean, unfortunately, going no contact with your family will probably mean um, financial trouble, but you'll figure it out. You'll figure it out. I was mad at my father for picking my mother. I understand why he divorced her. I've never been mad at my father for picking my mother. My mother is a beautiful woman. Um, I've never really been mad at my father. I just refused to have a relationship with him because of the things that my mother would say about him. And I was like, I don't know if it's true or not, but it makes me very uncomfortable. And oh, my father is calling me right now. What the fuck? Sorry. I called him yesterday. That's why. Uh, uh, now I feel bad about not answering him. I'm gonna call him in like 10 minutes. Uh, sorry. Like a gang stalking neighbor, Kev's wife is there. Yeah, yeah. Don't compliment me too much. You and your little bro do favor a lot. Your twin has your jawline, I guess. I think my twin brother is a very handsome dude. Thank you for the reminder. You don't know how much that means to me. Hey man, that's why I'm here. I normally don't vent my frustrations, but I feel safe with you guys for real. You are indeed safe here, my friend. Do you live in Canada? What do you care? You're asking very strange questions. What do you do for a living? Do you live in Canada? I will answer your questions if you answer mine. What's your social security number? What's your address? Where do you live? Who do you associate with? Are you part of any extremist groups? I'm really sorry if you're not trolling me, you know? I'm very sorry, but you come off as very strange. I've never seen you here before, and you're asking me these strange questions. That's what your channel says on your location. I did not know. I thought maybe you were in the USA. I'm noticing that I'm being impatient. Um, my apologies. My wife is not like Jake from State Farm. My wife is like Candyman. If you keep complimenting me, she will show up. Being targeted equals no peace. The few minutes of peace they will snatch away with terrorism. Before you can even remember what it was like, I can easily see why so many unalive themselves. Um, Camissa, I think more than just that, the issue about gang stalking and acquiring peace while being gang stalked is you don't know when the next attack is coming and who it's going to come from. You never know who's going to turn on you or when they're going to turn on you or who already has turned on you. So even when nothing is going on, you can really drive yourself crazy ruminating. And you shouldn't feel bad about that. I mean, you should work towards not doing that, but you shouldn't feel bad about that. These warfare tactics are meant to create that in you, to create that paranoia, to create that, state of unrest at all times, to drain you, so that when someone like Sun Moon 4180 comes in the chat and asks a simple question like, what do you do for a living? Do you live in Canada? I mean, Sun Moon could be a TI asking me what I do for a living because they just lost their jobs and they see me and they're like, he seems like he's stable. I wonder what he does. Maybe I could, learn something from him, Instead of giving Sun Moon an answer like a gentleman, I'm here talking about, why are you asking me that? You know what I mean? I'm here wondering like, what the hell is going on? What are these questions about? Meanwhile, Sun Moon could be like in trouble and asking these questions because they're trying to figure out their life. And instead of helping them, which is my mission, I'm giving Sun Moon undeserved shit that I apologize for. That's what this creates. Unrest. I'm sorry, Sun Moon. I'm a dog trainer and I live in Canada, Montreal. My wife is amazing. Thank you. It's a behavioral modification program that keeps us on edge, truly sinister. Don't apologize because we all go through it. Thank you, reverse reality. It's natural to be defensive, the fight and flight response in all of us. It's okay, no worries. Yes, I'm a TI as well. Sun Moon, I'm glad you accept my apologies and that you understand where I'm coming from. The reason why I got suspicious is because someone asked me yesterday not yesterday, in my last chat, someone wrote, I don't think I responded to them, but someone wrote to me, what group do you affiliate with? And I know that this question was meant to categorize me as a schmomestic schmerist. And, they'll ask questions like, what do you think about Trump? What do you think about Israel? Israel, sorry. I hate when people say Israel. It's not Israel. It's Israel. You can say Azrael, right? It's Israel. I just caught myself saying Israel. It's Israel. Or like, what do you think about Israel? What do you think about Trump? What do you think about whatever? What group do you affiliate with? So a lot of times, and then when I don't answer, they're like, oh, that was close. We almost had him. And I'm just like, I'm already on the list, man. Have a good one, reverse reality. God bless you, brother. There is another TI. I watch her. Name is Candy Grandpré, and she has gang stalkers come in her live every time and drive her crazy. Yeah. I get gang stalkers that come into my live every single time that I get on live. The only times that they haven't come in was when is usually when I interview someone. Then I rarely will have someone show up in my live if I'm interviewing someone, because I'm usually not even reading the comments anyways. So they've kind of figured it's pointless to like write comments when I do interviews. But anytime I do a live, I get gang stalkers. Hold on, give me just a second. I want to see this guy's channel. Hassan Campbell. Why would you have videos of Hassan Campbell? That's so strange. Anyways. She has been swatted by them and she is homeless. Oh man. This reminds me. Well, first of all, I'm sorry to hear that about. Wait, what was her name? Candy Grandpré. Grandpré means big prairie in French. Oh, I know her. Well, I know of her. Sorry. And it's funny. There's another page that it says targeted Creole, which is the language that Haitians speak. Oh no, it's her page. She's basically saying, "Don't join the cult against me," because there's a cult against her, and she's showing that she's being followed by a car. Oh man, I think she's Haitian. She looks Haitian. This reminds me, I wanted to actually talk about this in the beginning of the live, not at the end. But I wanted to talk about this. There was something that happened on Friday, last Friday, I think. There was a power outage. Or on the last live I did, there was a power outage. I don't know if you guys remember. I came on live for all of 3 minutes, and then there was a power outage. It was around midnight, and I did a live for like 2 hours and a half after. That was on June 5th, on Friday. And I was thinking to myself, this is very strange, because there was not just a power outage. Kelly Price is being gangsta. What is happening to Kelly Price? Link me, tell me something. A 3-year-old ordeal involving an alleged stalker who she says has tried to steal her identity. No way. Extreme length using plastic surgery to mimic her appearance, cloning her phone, locking her out of her computer, and even created a account under her. Oh man. I don't know if she's being gang stalked, but she's being stalked. Sounds like it. She broke the silence about that yesterday. 3 days ago. Whoa. She's talking about witchcraft and everything. Ain't no way, boy. What? So I haven't heard about it, but I'm going to take a second to watch that in a while. But I just wanted to talk about the power outage, because there was a power outage at my place on Friday night. And it wasn't just me. It was all the houses on my street at the very least. However, the street lights were still on, but everybody's power was out. But it wasn't just that. And listen very closely. The internet wasn't working. I don't mean my Wi-Fi. The internet wasn't working. Like, I took my phone off the Wi-Fi, couldn't access the internet. I took my wife's phone, took it off the Wi-Fi, still couldn't access the internet. Nothing could access the internet. I have mobile data. Nothing. It wasn't working. I couldn't access anything. I mean, I can use the internet usually. I mean, I can use the internet right now without my Wi-Fi, without being connected to the internet in my home. I have internet access on my phone. I pay for it. But during the power outage that lasted about 15 minutes, no internet. Nothing. My text messages were still working though. No internet. None. There was no internet on my phone or my wife's phone or anything else that has access to the internet. Isn't that strange? How many updates have you gotten last 2 weeks? None. I got a notification for an update last week, but I didn't update my phone. All right. I'm gonna go check on my wife. God bless you, Lorna. Only ask because I got 1 IU updates. I don't know. I was thinking about that today, and I just thought that's very strange. That's weird. I mean, I get a power outage, and of course, if there's a power outage, the internet on my computer is not going to work. But why is it not working on my phone? Changing my cell to something entirely. Very weird. Anyways, guys, good talk. I gaslight myself with them kind of baiting questions a lot. I automatically go on this gang stalking, then I go, no, come on. They just meant this. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've learned not to doubt myself so much, but, don't feel bad. Giving people the benefit of the doubt is expensive, and we can't afford it. So, and anyone who's meant to be around you will be understanding and will be forgiving of your paranoia. And if they're not forgiving of it, then who cares? You don't forgive my paranoia? I'm paranoid. We wouldn't mesh together anyways. I'm not going to change. I'm being gang stalked. Of course I'm paranoid. You don't like it? Sorry. So yeah. Targeted by the psych world. Yeah, I'm gonna give her a follow. But I'm gonna check out this Kelly Price story for sure. I mean, I hate that, like, as soon as I heard about Kelly Price possibly being gang stalked, my thought process was, well, I'm glad there's gonna be more eyes on this issue. When in reality, I should be thinking, what an awful thing that happened to a person. How bold, how very bold. I mean, I don't know if she's being gang stalked, but if she is, how very bold of our government to target celebrities. I mean, us nobodies. What credibility do we have, But to target celebrities it's really showing like they have no fear of any type of consequences because these people have money. They can sue. If they come to find out who's behind it, they can sue. And they're unafraid. I think what bothers me the most is how people who participate in this truly don't understand what it is that they're helping build. These prison walls that they're helping build around themselves, this police state that they're helping build around themselves. They're participating in that. They're participating in their own destruction because they're too narcissistic to see the bigger picture. All they see is financial gain, opportunity for revenge. Their own benefit. They're willing to help burn the world down for their own personal benefits, which is really shocking if you don't understand narcissism. But then if you do understand narcissism, you go, oh, well, yeah, that's like the political world in a nutshell. It's just we elect these liars who sell us out for their own benefits. A story as old as time. Anyways, thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting my page. If you get a chance, go check out my last video that I put out about Jay-Z and Nicki Minaj. Jay-Z allegedly confirming the gang stalking of Nicki Minaj by the government. Allegedly. Thank you for supporting my page. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your generosity in your subscriptions, your donations, super chats, things of that nature. You know, I'm a TI, right? Fake gold, fake. This is not an AP. This is a fake, right? $30. So I'm a TI. My financial situation is not where I want it to be. So every bit helps, of course. I'm not saying that I want you guys to help and donate. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying thank you to those who offer it because it does help. And it does also further motivate me to continue my mission, which is to bring awareness to this program, to offer, you know, a helping hand and ear to those who are going through this. Stephanie the Seeker is really great, Sun Moon. She's really great. I love her content. You know, there's this other lady that is not as popular as Stephanie the Seeker that I really like. Her name is Real Talk with Heidi. Real Talk with Heidi. I like Real Talk with Heidi. Anyways, go check out my last video if you would. Give it a thumbs up. Give this live a thumbs up as well, if you would. It helps the algorithm, you know, it pushes the algorithm. You should look her up. She's great. Real Talk with Heidi is really great. 1-800 number. Heidi did. 1-800. Oh yeah, I remember that video. That was really funny. That was very funny. Yeah. No, she's great and she's funny. Guys, you deserve grace. You deserve mercy. Take care of yourselves. Love each other. Love yourself first. I love you guys. Have a good one.